I never thought I'd be sitting here, spilling my guts on some Reddit thread about a mess that's still fresh, but here I am. I need to get this out in the open and maybe some advice from strangers who have been through similar hell. It all started a few weeks ago, on what was supposed to be one of the happiest nights of my life, our wedding rehearsal dinner. I'd been looking forward to that day for months, imagining the future, imagining us starting our new chapter. Instead, I got a punch to the gut I didn't see coming. The night felt normal at first. Family, friends, laughter, good food. I was slightly buzzed but not drunk enough to miss the flicker of something off in my wife's eyes when she smiled at her sister across the table. She looked happy. That's what I thought. She'd been acting a little distant lately, but I chalked it up to pre-wedding nerves. That's what I told myself. Still, I remember the small, almost imperceptible frown I caught when she glanced at her phone and quickly shoved it into her purse. Then, around 9 p.m., I noticed her excusing herself from the table more than once. She was acting jittery like she couldn't sit still. She went outside, then reappeared minutes later, wiping her palms on her dress, trying to look casual. I didn't push yet. I just watched her from a distance, feeling that knot tighten in my stomach. Something just didn't sit right. A few hours later, I saw her talking to my best man, Tom. They were whispering behind the barn near the side entrance. Their heads were close, and she laughed quietly at something he said. My heart kicked up. I had a gut feeling like a warning bell that wouldn't stop ringing. I decided to follow her after she slipped out the back, pretending to go to the bathroom. I thought maybe I was just paranoid. I slipped out after her, staying in the shadows. I followed her down a quiet alley behind the venue. The air was thick with humidity, sweat prickling on my forehead. The faint glow of a streetlight caught her face. She was fiddling with her phone, then she turned toward a narrow road leading to a less visible part of town. I hesitated, then I saw her walking with someone. Not just anyone, Tom. They were sneaking into a motel I didn't even know existed, a rundown place with flickering neon. My stomach dropped. My palms went cold. I could see them through the window, entering a room with the door slightly ajar. I couldn't make out much, but I saw enough. Their shadows flickered on the curtains. That was enough. I backed away slowly, my pulse pounding. I knew I had to act, but I also knew this was just the start. When I got back to the reception area, I told myself I'd confront her tomorrow. But my mind kept looping, replaying every detail. The way she lied about being at her sister's house earlier, she swore up and down she was there, that she was only doing wedding stuff, and I believed her. Who would? But her actions, that sneaking out, that was the real story. And the footage, that was the proof I needed. If she lied about that, what else was she hiding? Now I sit here with her wedding dress hanging in the closet, untouched, and the memories swirling in my head. I feel betrayed, furious, and strangely numb. I can't tell if I'm more angry at her or myself for not seeing the signs earlier. We had arguments, sure, but I never thought she'd betray me like this, not during what was supposed to be our celebration. I haven't told her I know. I want her to keep living in her little fantasy, thinking she got away with it. But I also have this plan forming, one I can't take back. It's not just about revenge. It's about feeling like I have some control again, about making her see that lying and cheating have consequences. Tomorrow, I'll confront her. I don't plan to yell or scream. I want her to see that I know everything. But beneath that, I'm already plotting the next move. Because if she thinks she can lie her way out, she's dead wrong. I'm not going to let her get away with it. Not after I saw what I saw, and not after the way she looked at him like he was the only thing in the world. I won't forget the sight of her sneaking out, her steps quick and nervous. That's the moment everything changed. And now? Now I just need to decide what to do next. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was caught in some twisted dream I couldn't wake up from. My stomach was knotted tight, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that quick flicker of guilt and defiance when she thought I wasn't looking. I kept replaying the moment I followed her, her hurried steps, the sneaky way she looked over her shoulder, the way Tom's shadow loomed behind her. All of it screamed betrayal. I kept telling myself I needed a plan. Not just to confront her, but to get something out of this mess, some form of revenge, because that's what I was feeling now. Anger mostly, and a sick desire to see her squirm, to make her realize what she'd done. But I also knew I had to be smart. This couldn't just be a gut reaction. I had to think clearly. The next morning, I woke up early, even though I wanted to stay in bed all day, hide from the world. The headache from last night's adrenaline rush was dull but persistent. I decided to start by doing some digging. I somehow needed to confirm that the footage I saw wasn't a mistake. I called the hotel, pretending to be someone interested in booking a room there. I got the name of the motel from the driver's license I'd caught her using the night before. I had to hear it straight from the source. The hotel clerk was polite but vague. Yes, I remember the night in question. 2 guests checked in around midnight. Room 7, I believe. No unusual activity as far as I know. I pressed her, trying to get more, but her tone stayed professional. No hints, no clues. I knew I'd have to go there myself, see the room firsthand, maybe even stake it out. I didn't want to wait for her to come home and start a fight. I needed evidence, undeniable evidence that she was cheating. I also reached out to an old friend who worked in private security. I didn't tell him the details, but I asked about cameras in the area, about tracking footage, anything I could use. He was straightforward. If you want to see what she's up to, you're probably better off doing it yourself. People slip up when they think they're hidden. By noon, I'd made up my mind. I was going to follow her today, see if she returned to that motel or if she had gone somewhere else. I packed a small bag, just enough to stay out for a few hours. I bought a cheap burner phone with a prepaid plan, something anonymous, so she wouldn't know I was onto her. I needed to be cautious. I didn't want her catching wind of my plans. I waited until she left the house, then slipped out the back door. My stomach was clenched tight, the taste of adrenaline thick in my mouth. I kept my eyes peeled for her car or any sign she was up to something. Nothing. The street was quiet, just the hum of distant cars and the rustling of leaves in the breeze. I followed her route, staying a few cars behind, until she pulled into a strip mall near the outskirts of town. She parked in front of a tiny salon, but I saw her glance around nervously before heading into the parking lot of a nearby motel. I parked around the corner, watching her get out and walk into the place. Her heart was pounding, or so I imagined, because mine was. I was sweating, palms slick, feeling every beat in my head. I slipped out of the car, sticking to the shadows, and approached the motel's office. I saw her through the window talking to the clerk, her face tense. They exchanged some words, then she handed over her ID. I couldn't hear what was said, but I saw her lean in, her eyes darting around. I stayed hidden behind a corner, watching her. My mind was racing. What was she planning now? Did she think she could keep this secret forever? I felt my jaw tight. I was about to find out. That's when she turned, heading toward a room at the far end of the corridor. I saw her slip her key into the lock, then open the door. I stayed back, trying to decide what to do next. I knew I had to be careful. I didn't want her to catch me lurking around. But I also knew I couldn't just walk away now, not after everything I'd seen. As I watched her go inside, I felt that familiar fury rising. The betrayal was one thing, but now I was also angry at myself for not seeing it sooner. How could I have missed the signs? How could I have been so blind? The small voice in my head kept telling me I was doing the right thing, that I needed to see this through for my own sake. I backed away slowly, my mind already formulating what I'd do when I confronted her. But deep down, I knew that this was just the beginning. The real reckoning was still ahead. I had the evidence now, but I wasn't sure if I was ready for the fallout. Still, I couldn't turn back. Not anymore. I spent the rest of the day pacing around, trying to keep myself from losing my mind. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her sneaky glances, the way her fingers trembled on her phone, her hurried steps into that motel. The evidence was clear now, but it felt surreal, like I was watching someone else's nightmare unfold and I was helpless to stop it. I kept asking myself, what's the point of just knowing? I needed to do more. I needed to make her see I wasn't going to be some fool anymore. That's when I started planning. I wanted her to feel the sting of betrayal, the weight of being caught, not with a shouting match or a messy fight, but something calculated, something she'd never forget. I decided I'd confront her face to face, but not just with a tearful accusation. I'd do it with undeniable proof and a plan that would leave her no way out. I wanted her to realize that her lies had consequences, that I wasn't the kind of man who'd turn a blind eye. I'd set the trap carefully, making her believe she still had some power. That's how I work: calm, patient, relentless. I spent the evening gathering my evidence. I downloaded the hotel footage onto a secure drive, making sure it was encrypted. I even took a screenshot of her ID at the motel just to have a backup. I wanted her to see that I knew everything. I'd arrange a private meeting, get her alone, and then lay it all out. But I also knew I had to prepare for her reaction. I remembered how she looked when she thought I wasn't watching: defiant, guilty, desperate even. I had to be ready for her to deny everything, to spin some story she'd think sounded convincing. I'd planned my words carefully. I'd tell her I had proof, nothing she could deny. I wanted her to feel cornered, to see that she couldn't lie her way out of this. Before heading to bed, I sent her a message. Not a confrontation, just a simple, cold note. "We need to talk tonight, be home by 8. I knew she'd panic even if she tried to hide it. That was good. I wanted her to feel the pressure. I'd wait until she arrived, let her think she still had some control. Then I'd show her what I had. Sleep didn't come easy. My mind kept circling. Every sound, every creak of the house made my pulse jump. I kept replaying her sneaky departure, her nervous glances, her trembling grip on her phone. I kept wondering, was she really going to admit everything, or was she already cooking up some excuse? Either way, I was ready. When 8 p.m. finally rolled around, she came home looking tense. Her face was too blank, her eyes darted everywhere. She tried to act casual, but I saw through it. She sat across from me, trying to keep her composure, her hands clutching her purse. I didn't waste time. "I know what you did," I said, voice steady but cold. "I followed you today, saw you go into that motel, saw the footage. Your little secret is out. Care to explain?" Her eyes widened, then she quickly looked away. "I don't know what you're talking about," she whispered, her voice quivering. "You're making this up, or you're mistaken." I pulled out my phone and played the footage on the screen. Her face stiffened as she watched herself slip into that motel, her cheeks flushing. "That's not what it looks like," she mumbled, trying to grab the phone, but I kept it steady. "You lied about being at your sister. Then you lied to my face last night. How stupid do you think I am?" Her voice cracked. "It's not what you think. I think you're a liar and a cheat," I interrupted. "And I've got proof. So tell me, what was so important that you had to sneak around behind my back?" She looked like she was about to cry, then her eyes hardened. "Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I was stupid, but I never wanted to hurt you. That made me laugh bitterly. You think that makes it okay, that you can just brush this off? I don't think so." I pushed the phone closer. "This isn't just a mistake, it's a betrayal, and I've had enough." She looked down, silent, her shoulders trembling. I could see her fighting herself, weighing her options, whether to keep lying or finally admit everything. I knew she wouldn't go quietly, but I was done waiting. I'd made my move. As she finally looked up, tears in her eyes, she whispered, "I was scared. I didn't mean for it to go this far." But her words felt hollow. I'd heard that kind of excuse before, and I knew it was just that, a way to avoid facing real consequences. I stood up, my fists clenched. "You had plenty of chances to be honest. Instead, you chose deception. I don't know if I can forgive this, but I do know I won't stay in a lie." I turned to leave, feeling the weight lift just a little, because I'd finally taken control. I left her sitting there, trembling, knowing this was the end of us. I'd be filing for divorce soon, no turning back. Now, and honestly, it felt like the first step toward reclaiming my life from the wreckage of her betrayal. The betrayal cut deep, but I was done playing the fool. I was ready to rebuild, even if it meant starting alone. It was clear she'd wanted to keep her secret, but I had finally uncovered it, and that was all that mattered. The days that followed were a blur of cold silence and heavy thoughts. I wasn't in a rush to do anything rash. No yelling, no shouting. I just wanted her to feel the weight of her betrayal. I was more focused on executing my plan, one that would make her regret ever crossing the line. I knew I couldn't just walk away from this without leaving a mark, without making her see that her choices had consequences. I spent hours poring over my options, weighing what would hit her hardest. I decided I'd keep the evidence close, my proof of her affair, her lies, and let her stew in her own guilt for a while. But I also knew I needed to do something more, something that would force her to confront what she'd done face to face. That's when I started working on my revenge. It wasn't petty, not really. It was calculated. I wanted her to understand that being caught wasn't just about the shame. It was about losing control, about seeing her carefully constructed world crumbling. I wanted her to feel vulnerable for once. I also had to be careful. I knew her well enough to know that she'd try to spin things, deny everything, or even turn it around on me. So I kept my plan secret. I didn't tell friends or family, not yet. This was just between me and her, a silent game of chess. I made sure I had all my evidence securely stored, ready to be unleashed at the right moment. One evening, I deliberately brought up the topic. I told her I wanted to have an honest talk. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her hands, eyes darting around as if she was trying to find an escape route. She knew what I was about to say, and I saw the flicker of fear in her eyes. Good. That's exactly what I wanted. I've been thinking about everything, I said, voice calm but firm. And I want to be honest with you, too. I know about. Fair. I know you lied about where you were last night while you were sneaking around. I've seen the footage and I know what you're capable of. So let's stop pretending. I don't want to argue. I want to know what's going through your head. She swallowed hard, her face pale. It was a mistake, she whispered, voice trembling. I didn't mean to hurt you. I don't know what I was thinking. I shook my head slowly. A mistake, that's all you have to say. You cheated, lied, and played me for a damn fool. And you think I'm just supposed to forgive you like it's no big deal. Her eyes filled with tears. I was scared, okay? I didn't know how to tell you. I thought I could fix this, that it wouldn't matter, but it does. It matters so much I can't even see straight anymore. I clenched my fists, feeling the rush of anger. Well, here's the thing, you're not just going to get away with it. I've got proof now, and I've decided I'm not going to let you walk all over me. You want to cheat? Fine, but I'm going to make damn sure you regret it for the rest of your life. Her lips quivered and she looked like she wanted to say something, but no words came out. I could see her fight to keep it together, her face twisting in a mix of regret and panic. I knew she was scared, and honestly, I relished her fear. That's what she deserved for betraying me. I want to tell you something, I continued, voice sharper now. This isn't just about catching you. It's about making sure you understand that I won't be fooled again. I've already started planning what comes next. You might think you're clever, sneaking around behind my back, but I've got a few surprises left for you. Her eyes flicked to the door like she was considering running, but I stayed rooted. You might think I'm just some naive guy who didn't see the signs, but I see everything now, and I promise you'll regret crossing me. She finally broke down then, tears streaming down her face. Please don't do anything crazy, she begged. I love you. I made a mistake. Please don't ruin everything. I took a deep breath. My chest was tight, but I kept my voice steady. Ruin everything? No, I'm just making sure you don't ruin me first. That night I stayed awake, planning every detail of what I'd do next. I knew I'd have to set the trap carefully, get her to admit more, or maybe just let her hang herself with her own lies. But one thing was certain, she was no longer in control. The game had turned, and I was the one holding the cards now. I could feel the icy resolve building inside me. I wasn't just going to walk away from this. No, I was going to make her feel the full force of her betrayal, and I was going to do it in a way she'd never forget. The only question was, how much more damage could I really do without crossing the line? I was about to find out. The days passed, and I could feel the tension crackling in the air like static electricity. I kept everything close to my chest, meticulously planning my next move. I knew I had her cornered, but I wanted to make sure my revenge hit just right, invasive enough to make her feel vulnerable but precise enough to leave her with nothing to deny. I wasn't interested in a messy public spectacle. This needed to be calculated, cold, effective. I spent hours setting everything up, making arrangements that would turn her world upside down. I contacted a private investigator I'd known from years ago, someone discreet, reliable, and experienced. I told him to keep an eye on her, to track her movements, and to gather any additional proof I might need. I didn't want any surprises. Meanwhile, I also made sure I had all the evidence I'd captured stored securely, encrypted and backed up. I knew she'd try to twist or deny everything, so I needed to be prepared for her next move. I even bought a small, hidden camera, a tiny one I could place in her purse or her car. If she was still hiding something, I'd catch her in the act again, and this time I'd have the footage to back it up. On the night I decided everything was ready, I sat her down. She looked exhausted, her eyes red-rimmed, her face drawn tight from crying. I could see the fear behind her defiance now, like a girl who knew her fate was sealed. "I've been thinking," I said calmly, "about everything we've been through, about your lies, your betrayal, and I've decided I'm done pretending. It's time you see what you've caused." She looked at me with pleading eyes. "Please don't do this. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I love you." "Stop." I cut her off. "You don't get to play the victim anymore. I've already seen what you're capable of, and I've got proof. And I'm going to give you one last chance, one last shot to come clean." Her voice was barely a whisper. "What do you mean?" I reached into my pocket and pulled out a flash drive. "All the footage, all the evidence, it's all here. If you tell me the truth, I might consider—" "Fine," she interrupted quickly. "Yes, I cheated. I was weak. I screwed up, but I love you. I don't want to lose everything over this." I stared at her, feeling the cold satisfaction rising in my chest. "You want to keep lying. You want to keep hiding. That's fine, but I've got one more surprise for you." I pulled out my phone, showing her the live feed from the hidden camera in her purse. She froze, eyes wide with shock. The feed was clear, her in her car talking to another man. She had been hiding even more. "Who's this?" I asked softly. "Care to explain why you lied about being at your sister's last night, or why you're meeting someone else now?" Her face lost all color. Her lips trembled, but no words came. She tried to speak, but I cut her off. "You see, I've been watching you closely. And I'm done waiting. You want to keep up the lies, keep pretending everything's okay, go ahead, but I'm not playing anymore." I handed her the flash drive. "That's everything, all the evidence. You want to lie some more, or you want to come clean now?" She looked down, trembling. Finally, she whispered, "I was scared. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought I could fix it, make it right. I didn't want to lose you." I clenched my fists. "You think lying and sneaking around is fixing anything? You screwed this up, and now I'm giving you a choice. Tell me the truth, or I walk away forever." She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry, I really am, but I love you. I want to make it right." That was the moment I knew I had her exactly where I wanted her. The secret was out. The evidence was in my hands, and I was prepared to make her regret her betrayal, if not today, then every day after. I was tired of being played for a fool, tired of pretending everything was fine when it was. My next move was coming. And I knew with absolute certainty that she wasn't going to like it, not one bit. The confrontation that night was different from all the others. It wasn't loud or violent. It was cold, calculated, and precise, like dropping a bomb in slow motion. I sat across from her, the evidence laid out, every truth staring her in the face. Her trembling hands clutched her lap, her eyes darting around, trying to find an escape route she knew wasn't coming. "You lied," I said calmly. "You cheated, lied, and tried to hide it from me. I gave you every chance to be honest, but instead you decided to deceive me, to betray everything we built." My voice was steady, but I felt the rage simmering just beneath the surface. She looked at me with tears streaming down her face, her voice cracking. "I made a mistake. I was weak, and I thought I could fix this before it came out. I didn't want to ruin everything." I shook my head slowly. "You had plenty of chances to be honest. Instead, you chose to lie, to sneak around behind my back. And now you're going to pay for that." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the keys to her car. Her eyes widened in confusion. I stood up and walked toward her, my movements deliberate. "You see, I've already called a lawyer. I've started the divorce proceedings. You're leaving here tonight, but not just that, you're going to be out of my life for good." Her face twisted with disbelief. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," I said. "This isn't just about the affair anymore. It's about the fact that I can't trust you. And I refuse to stay with someone who lied to me so deeply, who thought she could get away with it." I handed her a small envelope. "That's the deposit for a new apartment. You'll need it. I want you gone by morning. And don't bother calling to explain. Your silence says enough." The tears in her eyes intensified, but I didn't waver. This was the end. I was finally taking control, reclaiming my dignity. I'd spent nights imagining this day, feeling rage, heartbreak, betrayal, just waiting for the moment I could walk away. As she packed her things, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I thought about all the times I ignored the red flags, the late nights, the secretive texts, her nervous glances, and now I saw it all for what it was. I had been blind, but never again. I handed her the keys to her car and her final paycheck. "Go start over. I don't want anything more from you, just take your stuff and leave." She looked at me, tears still falling, voice barely a whisper. "I'm sorry, I really am." I nodded, feeling nothing but a hollow sense of closure. Sorry doesn't mean anything now. Goodbye. That night I sat alone in my quiet house. The lights dim. I poured myself a drink and stared out the window, feeling the cool night breeze against my face. It was over. The betrayal, the lies, the pain, all of it. I finally had my answer, and I knew I'd never look back. My takeaway: trust is like glass, it shatters at the slightest crack. When it does, you have two choices: keep trying to piece it together or walk away and find something better. I chose to walk away. And honestly, it was the best decision I ever made.